In my opinion, most of the time, Filipino horror movies are mid. Rarely are they ever great. Some of them are just bad, but generally they ride the line of good and fine. They're just fine. But sometimes they are just fucking weird. Knock knock, boss. It's one of the weird ones again. God, that mic was shit. It's somehow still my most viewed video. I will say that this film is a comedy horror, but even then, this film is something else. You'll see. So our movie begins with a glowing toilet. It hasn't even been 5 minutes, bro. We see some obvious ghost-looking ghosts, because their skin is pale white and this guy is literally holding his head with his hands. They're crowding around the toilet, talking about how they still have a chance to do something about something when they start running as cockroaches start coming out of the toilet. We then meet our protagonist, Jesus Resurrection. Get it? He's cleaning up in the bathroom when his sick coworker George comes coughing, asking him for help with his work. Jesus worms his way out of it, and as George curses him for not helping, the lights go out in the bathroom when we get a reference to Lotus feet from Feng Shui. Don't say where the reference is, there is gonna be a lot more where that came from. Trust me, a lot more. He pees himself, and as he leaves, we get a wipe transition to our first chapter, The One. He goes home when we meet his bratty ass aunt Kimberly waiting for him because she's hungry and is waiting for him to cook food. At the dinner table, we meet his cousins Judas and Jograd as they secretly talk about robbing the bank that Jesus works at. We then strangely cut to this girl's birthday. She is Jesus' girlfriend Maan, and here she talks with her unapproving parents, asking them to give Jesus a chance. Jesus arrives and gives her a gift, though he is feeling a bit out of place. She tries boosting his confidence when another guy, Nick, arrives to try and one-up Jesus despite being introduced as Maan's boyfriend. He is never going to be relevant again to the story after this segment, so we can just forget about him. Maan introduces Jesus to her parents, but he gets slapped in the face and tries leaving when Maan pulls him back to introduce him to the guests instead. Though as she does so, the lights go out and Nick comes out with a big ass cake. Visibly annoyed, Maan still blows on the cake when suddenly Jesus' aunt and his cousins arrive to crash her party. Kimberly and Maan's mom get into a cat fight with a reference to Sherry Gill sprinkled in it. You guys know it. You're nothing but a second-rate, trying-hard copycat. Jesus tries to stop the fight, but he gets pushed into the cake instead. He apologizes to Maan and leaves. As he is walking around dejected, he's picked up by this guy who introduces himself as the lawyer for the Resurrection family, and that he has an inheritance about to be given to him. While they're talking, we meet another character, JC, as he is secretly meeting with this girl, Mayumi. He talks about trying to date her outside of her house, but she keeps giving him excuses. He then tells her to leave when he tries taking a picture of her, but when he stalls, she changes her face to the best VFX money can buy. She then walks into the house by going through the walls. Jesus and the lawyer arrive shortly after, but when the lawyer tries to show him the house, Jesus bolts after being too creeped out. Some of the ghosts appear talking about how he is the one. Afterwards, all of them assemble around a campfire roasting and eating hot dogs. I'm not going to question the implications of that. When the mood is soured by Titay, who screams at the top of her lungs that the ghosts need to get serious. Padre Florentino calms her down and adds on that they need to come up with a plan to tell Jesus that he is the one, or the one, because as Titay explains it, the door to the light can only open once every 25 years, and Jesus is the only one able to do it, and that they need to cross over, otherwise they will turn into cockroaches because sure. This scares the ghosts, which Gorio and Vic, ghosts that are meant to be locked up with chains on their legs, makes fun of them for. Mayumi arrives and is scolded by Titay for being late and for continuing to deceive JC. Mayumi explains that she just wants to bring a memory of her first kiss to the afterlife, when Xavier makes fun of Titay that she may or may not have the same memory to bring. Meanwhile, at Jesus' job, his family goes through with their plan to rob the bank, and as his aunt grabs George, Jesus accidentally blurts out their name. We don't know what happens after that, just that they are now in jail. They didn't stay there for long though because his lawyer made an insanity plea, but they still need to pay for damages. Having no money, Jesus now needs to sell the house. Jesus and the lawyer go to the house to meet a possible buyer, a stoner named Bayet. They show him around the house when we get another reference to Feng Shui as Jesus sees a comically large bagua. Bayet falls asleep when he starts getting decorated by the ghosts. I don't know what is happening here exactly. When Jesus realizes that he got separated from the lawyer, he starts running away when we get the stair scene from Feng Shui. It's not even a reference at this point. It's actually the same goddamn scene, but recycled. I mean, I get that Star Cinema owns both movies, but I mean, come on. You guys didn't even bother trying to replicate the scene. It turns out that Jesus was just seeing visions, and it was the lawyer this whole time. When Badette comes back and tells them that he will buy the house, when all of a sudden, he fucking dies. Don't even ask me. The two regroup at Precious's sari-sari store when Jesus gets a text from Maan telling him that he either meets her at Star City or lose her. By the way, if you think that the name Maan is weird, it's because her last name is Tuken. Maan Tuken. Get it? It's fucking stupid. So they meet at Star City, which is a famous theme park in the Philippines. Here, Jesus proposes to Maan to prove his love. But Maan can't accept it because Jesus is a coward and doesn't have faith in himself. So Maan tells him that they will go to the haunted house. And if he gets through with it, it proves that he is strong enough to fight for the both of them. But as soon as they enter, he immediately runs off on her. And then we get another old reference to Lovers in Paris. If you're too young to know what that is, go ask your older sister or your mom. They most likely watched it, but basically it was a popular K-drama in the Philippines before K-drama was popular everywhere else, like Boys Over Flowers or Full House. Anyway, all you need to know is that this is an almost one-to-one comedic recreation of the pool scene, but the roles are reversed and that they broke up. That's it. Jesus storms back into the house screaming at the ghost to come at him, when suddenly we cut to JC's mom who is at her deathbed. But before she dies, she gives JC a trinket and says that she wants to ask forgiveness from Jesus, his brother. We then see JC at the church raising his mom's ashes at the altar. I guess he interpreted it as actual Jesus. This was meant to be emotional, by the way, but I don't really care because we barely know him and we are only 30 minutes into this movie, and yet somehow feels like already a lot has gone by. Meanwhile, Jesus sleeps as Rachel, another ghost, starts staring at him. This doesn't really lead anywhere, even though there are points in the movie where it looks like they were going to do a romance angle, when the rest of Jesus' family break out of the mental facility. Somehow. They break back into their house while Jesus is still moping, reminiscing about his past relationship. Did man just fucking kill someone? Are we just going to bash past this? He then starts staring at the well and is considering committing self-induced drowning. The ghosts see this and want to stop him, so Titay decides to possess him, but Padre Florentino points out that this doesn't really help, so they need to use another person. Right on cue, JC strolls inside a house looking for Mayumi, and so Xavier possesses him to convince Jesus to stop, but then Nicole, another ghost, jumps in for some reason to get her hand at it, and when a random Chinese ghost girl jumps in asking for candy, it effectively creeps him out, and so he backs up and falls down the well anyway. The ghosts crowd around the well, and inside we get a ring reference as actual Sadako starts chasing Jesus. Back up top, it's already nighttime. That was quick. Though of course, because of this, Jesus is already dead, but he is oblivious to it. Goryeo tries spoiling it for him right then and there, but the rest stop him. Instead, they take him back to the house to break it to him gently, but he doesn't really take it that way, instead refusing to believe it. Padre Florentino gets him up to speed on their curse and Jesus' role as the One, saying that he needs to open the door to the afterlife before All Souls Day lest they all turn into cockroaches, but he keeps cowering from his role. His family arrives at the house in search of Jesus, and when Jesus goes to them, they can't see him. The brothers find Jesus' body down in the well, and through some silliness, they both fall inside. With the help of JC, they manage to retrieve his body, and afterwards, they find that Jesus is still alive. He was in there for a whole day and yet somehow he's still not a bloating corpse? Jesus tries going back in his body, but it's too late when the family leaves the gate and he is bounced back. Jesus, now accepting the truth that he is dead, starts moping around again, while Maan is doing a ghost reference as she is making some crappy pottery and proceeds to eat noodles from it. At the hospital, JC is looking at Jesus when the doctor mentions the name Jesus Resurrection. That's when he figures out that this is his brother and confirms it when he finds a similar looking trinket on Jesus. But to hammer in that information, the ghost of his dead mom bursts into the room to call him stupid and that this is his brother. So unnecessary. The next day, Jesus wakes up and he sees the ghost system, where apparently new ghosts arrive and check if they are assigned to this mansion or the next one, as explained by Xavier. They're basically poking fun at how Philippines elections work, where you basically go to a school or some other place and check if it's your assigned voting booth. It's still practiced to this day. To be honest, I don't get why we still don't have the option of mailing votes in. Also, we meet Valat Baklayan, a character that's been introduced way too late to be all that relevant. Also, do you get it? It's fucking stupid. Jesus converses with Xavier asking him why ghosts scare people, and Xavier explains that they don't really want to scare people, they just want to be close, and it's the people who get scared on their own. Also, that not all people can see them, just those with a third eye. Valet confronts Jesus, asking him if he's really the one, telling him that if he is really the one, then he should be able to perform a miracle. To which he responds by turning into Piolo Pascual, the actual actor, by the way. I'm fucking sorry. When did we establish that he has ghost powers as the one? Does he have any other powers aside from opening doors to the afterlife and shapeshifting? Am I thinking too much on this silly movie? Yes I am. We also get a scene with Goryo explaining his motivations to Vic. Apparently, the reason why he doesn't want them to open the door is because he doesn't want to cross over yet. At least not without his precious. Which is a stupid motivation, by the way, because we already established that even if he waits for his precious to die, they're all gonna turn into cockroaches anyway after the light goes out for the final time. So not only will he not be able to cross over with his precious, they won't even be able to meet. Period. Goryo and Vic then go to Jesus to try and manipulate him into letting them out of their chains, and with not even that much pressure, they succeed, okay? And then we get a goddamn Kill Bill reference because for no reason whatsoever, his aunt is now wearing a damn eye patch. They even had the audacity to replicate the iconic Kill Bill whistle. And then, the ghosts watch through the bagua as they see his aunt try and kill Jesus. So the bagua is a fucking camera. Not a viewport utilizing other baguas, an actual fucking camera, because the bagua itself cut to different angles. Alright, fine. I'm just going to accept this with no other explanation whatsoever. Even if the bagua itself can also pan down. Before she was able to inject Jesus though, a ninja shows up to try and stop her. The ninja cuts up Kimberly, and when her sons come in to try and rescue her, the ninja easily beats them up, giving Kimberly a chance to leave. The ghosts celebrate, but Jesus harshes the vibes when he realizes that he is still stuck as a spirit. Padre Florentino interjects, saying that there is still hope because his body is still alive. So all they need to do is to bring his body back to where he died so he could go back in, that being the well. He responds by saying what good is there to be alive again when he doesn't have man anymore and nobody loves him. Rachel says that the ghosts are there and that we are your family. Okay, calm down there, Rachel. You guys are barely acquaintances. You've known each other all for 3 days. And even if he does become alive again, he's just gonna open the door for you guys and you guys will fuck off. So, family? Regardless, they beg Jesus to still keep up hope as they are slowly forgetting the memories of their past lives, and they ask him what memory will he bring to the afterlife. We then get a flashback of the day Jesus' parents died, where we also see JC's mom take the trinket that has Jesus' dad picture on it and leaves him with the one with his mom. With that flashback done, he has a newfound motivation, saying that while he might not have many good memories, helping the ghosts might just provide him something to take with him to the afterlife. The ghosts cheer and want to celebrate, so in the next scene, and this is by far the silliest part of this movie, the ghosts do a fucking dance battle. Now I can't show you all the dance battle, but you can find it somewhere here on YouTube. And I will tell you the highlights. So the next scene, for some reason, Tita and Jesus jump from the second story window, because I guess they are just that excited. And when Jesus falls on his ass, we see some creepy kids singing, and then some Lotus Feet clones start walking around with their giant ass baguas. Then the female ghosts start dancing. Afterwards, I guess Jesus picked himself up, because then he got into position and started dancing as well. Then he leaves and some more people join, with this one butler doing some b-boy shit with one of the Lotus Feet clones. And then we get some basic ass transitions as Goryo's crew roll in, and then they start dancing. When a bag falls down from the heavens as a chicken clucks somewhere, as Vic steps out of the bag, and then the chicken dance song starts playing and he dances with Goryo's crew. And this is where I noticed something, because I watched this on I Want TFC, and there all the original audio is still kept. But when I checked on the YouTube upload, some of the background music as well as the chicken dance song got replaced. I don't know why. I just kind of wanted to point that out. So let's get back to it. Goryo and Jesus' crew then start doing face-off dances, when someone from Goryo's crew start doing head spins. So as a response, Padre Florentino steps up, plops his hand on the ground and spins it like it's a fucking top. Absolute cinema. Absolute fucking cinema. I don't care what happens anymore in this movie. This movie is now an immediate 10 out of 10. Goryo and Jesus then do a 1v1 where Goryo pulls his pants down as a finisher, and Xavier pulls Jesus' pants down, but his has a fucking goose fly out of it. So that of course wins them the dance battle, and then they celebrate by dancing to the can-can. The segment finishes with Jesus lying on a chalk mark. So that entire scene is pretty much irrelevant to the story, as we go back to the actual movie where we see Maan visiting Jesus. Back at the house, Jograd arrives unannounced and starts stealing random stuff. When Jesus tries possessing him, Goryo beats him to it, with honestly a cool looking way to show possession. Had this been in a better restoration quality and of course had better CGI, this honestly would have been a dope looking scene. The girls start reprimanding Goryo to get out of the body, but he just leaves. They start to wonder how he escaped his chains, where Jesus reveals that he gave them the keys. Xavier says that they need to catch him quick because he won't stop until he finds his precious. In the next scene, Goryo finds his precious. Well, that didn't take long. He tries hugging her and telling her that he's Goryo, but of course she doesn't believe him, and when he tries kissing her, he gets beat up with a broom. Back at the house, we sped ran through the JC and Mayumi storyline, as Mayumi is now trying to introduce JC to her parents. They start eating, but when there's not enough food, Jesus knocks out Balat and takes hers. Mayumi can't take it anymore and just says that they're ghosts outright, and when Balat retaliates, Jesus accidentally knocks out JC. When JC comes to, he immediately calls Jesus his brother and is glad to find him awake. Mayumi explains though that they are actually ghosts and he can only see them because of his third eye. JC then becomes the exposition dumper as he explains that their dad had an affair with his maid, and from that, JC is born, effectively making them half-brothers. Jesus is shocked as JC continues that his mother actually wanted to apologize to Jesus before she died, which Jesus readily accepts. Itai then gets a bright idea of asking JC to take Jesus' body back, and JC nods in acceptance. At the hospital, Goryo as Jograd arrives and strangles Jesus' body. When Maan wakes up to try and stop him, she immediately gets knocked out. He continues, but it's Kimberly to interrupt him this time as she slaps him and Goryo gets knocked out of Jograd and onto Maan. The fucking ninja wakes up this time now, but this time the family get the better of him and start beating him up. Goryo now as Maan wakes up and suffocates Jesus again while the family zaps the ninja's balls. Goryo then all of a sudden leaves. Bro, he's still fucking breathing. Did you want to take a break or something? The family also reveals the identity of the ninja, it being the lawyer. And while they're busy with that, JC successfully sneaks Jesus' body out of the hospital. JC arrives back at the house and the ghosts gather at the well where they start chanting and dancing, which is scarily similar to the GTA San Andreas dance. As they're doing that, Jesus starts convulsing, so they dump his body down the well. The well starts glowing and Jesus' body starts floating up from it, and when it does, Jesus' spirit goes back and he is now back to life. JC and Jesus hug and JC gives him back both of his parents' necklaces. And as he puts them back together, it forms the key to the door of the afterlife and also transforms his clothing. I'm not gonna question anything from this movie at this point. The ghosts celebrate as JC and Mayumi finally get together, and so does Xavier and Titai. Goryo comes back to the house where he finds the ghosts celebrating, but realizing that he is Maan, he calls Jesus over, who has no idea what happened because he wasn't there watching the Bagua cam, and Jesus tries reconciling with Maan. When Jesus hugs Maan, Goryo then starts beating him up and steals the key from him. Jesus tells the ghosts to stay back and they start fighting. They go towards the kitchen where Goryo starts hitting him with a fridge, one that hopefully isn't haunted. And Jesus starts hitting him back with a fish. Before he hits him with a fucking marlin though, Goryo transforms back into himself. So he can also fucking shapeshift? So that is not a chosen one power, that's just a ghost power. All of this is happening, by the way, as Don Romantico plays in the background, and that's where I learned that Don Romantico was made for the soundtrack of this movie. Weird song choice aside, Goryo and Jesus keep fighting around the house, where at one point they hit some of the paintings, and the paintings get hurt. So the paintings are haunted. As long as it's not the fridge, I'm fine with it. The shitty family then arrives to burn down the house because Kimberly believes the house to be the source of their bad luck. They spread the gasoline around, and when they try to find their match, a fucking flying torch comes towards them out of nowhere, and this chases them out of the house and this movie because they are never seen again. The ghosts are watching two fight as the light of the afterlife finally comes. Eventually, Jesus gets the upper hand on Goryo, and as he is knocked on his ass, JC arrives with his Precious so that they can finally have their reunion. Let's also all just accept that Precious also has a third eye. They kiss for a disturbingly long amount of time. As he is distracted, Vic chains him up again. Precious tries convincing Goryo to give up the key, but when he still doesn't want to cross over, she slaps him, and when Jesus kicks him, Goryo is kicked out of Maan's body. The ghosts then start gathering back at the toilet from the start of the movie as Goryo cowers in a corner somewhere. The ghosts all say their farewells to Jesus, as Jesus brings the key and puts it on the hole of the toilet handle. The key was a fucking toilet handle. Why would the parents have their pictures in a fucking toilet? You know what? The movie's ending. I'm cool with it. He flushes the toilet and the door to the afterlife opens. The ghosts then start crossing over, starting with Balat, and then Mayumi, who gives a flying kiss to JC. Then Xavier and Tita, who go together hand in hand. We then get one final and arguably the biggest twist in this movie. When Padre Florentino steps up to the door, it turns out they are two completely different people. This is Padre Florentino, and we never know who this guy is. The rest of the ghosts then cross over and bolt as Goryo turns into a cockroach. Jesus and Maan are back together and are now living together at the house. When Jesus gets a final encounter with a ghost though, as Rufa May Quinto's ghost knock on their door asking to stay in for the night. And when Jesus gets convinced from a kiss, she turns to get her things, revealing an axe on her back. So Jesus runs back to Maan as we get a thriller freeze frame ending to our movie. Wait, no. We also get Goryo's cockroach getting smacked by Precious as she's mourning him. And that is the end of The Anothers. So, this movie is... It's bad. It's bad. It's objectively bad. The plot structure is nowhere to be found. The pacing is all over the place. And the jokes mostly fell flat. And there are too many goddamn references in this movie. Look, I get that sometimes comedy films reference what's relevant to pop culture at the time to make one-off jokes, but when every 5 minutes there's a reference to something, it just gets tiring. Like the ones that I mentioned weren't even it. There's a lot more references in the dialogue. I just didn't say it because I either got tired of trying to find where it came from, or at this point, 20 years later, I forgot where it came from. So now, most of the jokes fell flat. Though I guess it's fine because I guess the filmmakers didn't really believe in this film's longevity anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Also, Jesus was never really the one. Aside from his shape-shifting powers, which aren't even unique to him, he didn't really do much aside from die and then flush the toilet. If anything, all of them will be lost without JC saving their ass, who, by the way, also has one half of the key. So, Jesus is not the one. He's the one half of the two people that were required to open the damn door. So, did he really do shit? But that being said, I do still kinda like this movie. Whether it's nostalgia talking or probably recency bias, I can't explain it. This movie has a really weird charm to it. It's one of those it's so bad it's good movies. You know what I mean. What gets me is the over-the-top silliness and campiness. And while yes, I did say there are too many references in this movie, because of those references, this movie kinda acts as a time capsule for whatever was popular at the time in 2005. Not just in the Philippines, but everywhere else. So that just adds on to my appreciation for it. But the movie is still ass though, don't get me wrong. But what do you guys think? Was it good? Was it bad? Tell me your thoughts down in the comment section below. And if you have another movie suggestion, also tell me down in the comment section below. And subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you to me for suggesting this video, because none of you commented it. Which, by the way, I'm going to establish this now. We're gonna do a kind of alternating thing. So next video is one of your guys' ideas, and then the next video after that, it's gonna be one of mine. And if there's a chance that our ideas coincide, I'm gonna be generous enough to give you guys the credit. Also, I keep forgetting to plug my other socials. I don't really use them, but they're there. It's in the description, and I'm probably gonna pin it as the top comment. Anyway, that's it. I've been Nate, and I will see you around.